What it do, familia? These are 5 things that I wish I knew when I first started my photography business. For all of you guys who have TikTok brains, I'm gonna just run through them all. I'm gonna run through them all to make you feel better. Number 1, do not niche down. Do not niche down, right? I'll explain it in a minute. I'm gonna just give y'all the list because some of y'all don't wanna sit here long enough to listen to the whole video. Do not niche down, right? You only need one lens, 24-70, right? Sigma. But you don't gotta be a Sigma, but you only need one lens, a 24-70. That will cover about 90% of all your photography. 3, right? Invoice everything. You need paper documentation, you need physical receipts, you need invoice everything when it comes to clientele because they will try to get over on you and they will play with your time. Non-refundable deposits, the whole 9 yards, invoice everything. Marry your current camera. All right, before you upgrade or anything, when you're first getting into photography, a lot of us have gear and we feel like we need the newest this, newest that. It don't matter, bro. It don't matter. When you're starting a photography business, the thing that matters is the experience that you sell to your clientele. Your gear does not matter as much as you think it matters. The way that you capture light in the eye that you have and your perspective is what matters because that's what's gonna get you booked and keep you booked. 5, lighting before everything. Lighting before gear, lighting before a new camera, lighting before a new lens, lighting before you buy anything else. Before you buy anything else, is your lighting good? Do you have enough lighting? Do you got a flash? You got a strobe? Do you have an 8200? If you don't, go buy an 8200. Lighting is everything. All right, now for everybody who just wanted the answers, let's go ahead and break it down. 1, do not niche down, right? The reason why I say do not niche down is simply because a lot of us feel like we have to niche, or you hear it from like OG photographers, like niche down. Oh, you're gonna like if you're doing everything, you're gonna burn out. Blah 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 blah. Bro, if you niche down, you're gonna limit yourself. That's how I look at it. This is my disclaimer. Let me throw the disclaimer out. Disclaimer. This is my POV and my opinions. All right. You may think differently. There may be other photographers out there that have taught you or told you differently, but these are merely my opinions and my point of view. For example, I have four main niches, right? I have a niche per season because if I only had one niche and I only did one thing, every niche has an off season, right? Right now for me, it's wedding season. So I'm getting booked up with wedding engagements. Right now, that's wedding season. But if I was only a wedding photographer, then year round, I'm trying to do weddings, but everybody's not getting married all year round and I'm only pushing in that one spot. So now I have months that I go or multiple times that I go without any bookings, right? And it's too much free time on my hands. This is for me. I can't have too much free time. I need to touch my camera every single day, which is why I feel like for me, it's better for me to have multiple different niches. During certain times, I'm a portrait photographer, family photographer, right? I'm what you need at those certain times. And I've gotten to the point where I know that at certain times of the month or during certain seasons, I need to shift my photography, right? At first, I was trying to niche. I was trying to do everything that all the OGs were saying. And I was like, man, I was getting lost. So I adapted the hybrid mentality, right? The hybrid mentality of being fluent and being resilient and being adaptable to the times. Because if you're not adaptable, you will lose, right? This game, like, I don't want to say it's competitive because it kind of is, because there's a lot of photographers that are in industries and are in specific niches that have been doing this thing for years, bro. And you're trying to come out here and you're trying to start it. And with you trying to come out here and just trying to start right now, they've been OGs in the niche that you're trying to get into. So if you're able to dabble in that niche a little bit and understand it fully as much as you can, and then try another one, understand that fully, now you're adept between 2 niches to be able to, you know, work between those 2. When you're focusing on one, there's a lot of competition, especially when first starting out. This is why I say 5 things that I wish I knew when I first started my photography business, all right? Don't niche down. Find and try out everything, right? Become a second shooter for somebody's wedding, become, you know what I'm saying, go to fashion shows, do real estate photography, do preschool portraiture, do newborn photography, do maternities, do everything, bro. Like, try it all out, because if you niche down too early, you don't allow yourself to expand your mind, and you don't allow yourself to actually experiment and actually learn, because you learn through experiences, right? So I've learned so much since the start of my photography because I've done everything. Like, I've done so many different things, and I made a law to myself to never say no to a client. So it made me learn so much faster because I was always saying yes to everything that I was doing for a client. So I'm always saying yes. So I'm always doing a shoot. I'm always doing this. I'm always got that. I always got multiple things going on. So every time I'm out, I'm always learning something through another experience. And that's why I'm able to teach you guys so much, because I've experienced so much. So I was about to tell you guys, do not niche down, bro. Don't niche down. Even when you like, you can have a niche for a season, but that does not need to be your niche all year. Because no, I don't think no photographer for real only does one thing. Like they might still throw in a little bit of this. If they get asked to go do an event, they might do it. There might be a wedding photographer, but they still get asked to do a portrait session with the family. They're probably still gonna do it. So when you hear those words niche down, it sounds crazy in your mind when you're a new photographer because you feel like that's law, and it's not law. Real, raw, unfiltered. All right, you guys, you got to be yourself, be authentic, unapologetically authentic, and figure out what works for you, and go down that lane. All right, go down the lane that works for you. So my way of saying it: do not niche down. Be the niche. You are the niche, but make a system. Make a system. Don't just not niche and not have a system. Try to create some form of system where maybe it's these seasons I do this and I push that. This time I push this and I push that. But when you're starting out, bro, try everything, do everything. Number 2, you only really need one lens, right? So the 24-70, as you guys know, this is a overly versatile lens, right? This is my baby, right? And I didn't upgrade or get a new lens until like 2 years of having the 24-70. I didn't buy another lens until I had to because I needed something wider, and that was it. And then I started getting into weddings. I was like, oh, okay, now I need to get this. But I still didn't have to buy the lens. I could still rent that lens, right? So there's multiple different renter places where you can rent out lenses for when you need them. But when you spend a lot of money on one lens, you guys, and you might not even be using it that much, the number one lens that stays glued to my camera is my 24-70 f2.8. Right? And I like the Sigma myself personally because it's built like a tank. When I drop it, it doesn't break. I'm not saying drop it on purpose, obviously, but being that it has multiple metal components, it basically protects it every time that it does drop, or if it were to ding against anything. It's more durable in my eyes than others that are built primarily of plastic throughout, right? So I really love my Sigma, and I really love that it's f2.8 and it's a 24-70, which is very versatile. And even with 24-70, you're still able to use this thing called Super 35 mode. I'm trying to show you guys how I do it right now. So I have a custom button on here, which is called Super 35 mode, if you guys can see. When I press this custom button, it zooms in. So it gets me 15 extra millimeters of reach. So literally all I've ever really needed is the 24-70, and all I ever really had and used was 24-70. Even when I was shooting primarily on my Canon EOS RP, my Canon EOS RP and my R series, I was still using a 24-70 lens. So that is the number one lens that I've been using throughout my entire photography career, and I'm still using it to this day. I really only touched another lens when I started doing, traveling with different artists. I had to get a wider lens because they wanted to do vlog style content. So when I did that, you guys are on it right now, I would get my 12-24 millimeter lens, and that would be the lens that I would use for their vlog style content. When I'm inside of the car or something like that, and I gotta have an extra wide to be able to get everything. Also in the form of real estate, I had to have a wider lens for real estate. So this lens came in handy, which is why it made sense to purchase the lens rather than just renting it, because I'm using it more and more and more. I was using it for real estate. I was using it for traveling photography. I was using it for multiple different things, which is why it just made the most sense to be able to have this 12-24 millimeter and then have a 24-70. So 12-24, 24-70 is all I really needed. And this 24-70 is really all I ever really needed. So I feel like if you're gonna buy a lens and you're gonna trap a lens out, trap out you a 24-70, because grads, portrait sessions, maternity, anything, bro, when you can have a small space and use a 24-70, my studio is 13 by 22, right? And that's pretty small. And I'm able to shoot right in a 13 by 22 with this 24-70 millimeter and make some amazing images, as you guys seen on my Instagram. So number 2, you really only need one lens. Marry that lens, learn that lens, and you only really need one lens. Number 3, invoice everything. Invoice everything. You need I say paper, but it's not really paper, but you need documentation of everything, because these clients will try to get over on you, bruh. I've had clients run disputes on me. I've had clients do so many different things just trying to get over on me, bruh. And they couldn't do that if I had paper and proper documentation, right? So I have in the Discord and the Patreon, these are free things. I have the template on how to make, not necessarily the template, but I have videos on how to make your contracts, how to make an invoice. So I have a whole text thread of how to make invoices with Square, different stuff like that. And that's a free software as long as you're above the age of 18. But other than that, you might have to type out your invoice, stuff like that. But you could make a template to be able to copy and paste and just type out the invoice for them to be able to pay you. But you need to have paper receipts of everything, because if anybody ever tries to take you to court, especially if you don't got an LLC, someone tries to take you to court, bro, you're gonna be mad, bro. You're gonna be, bro, or they try to just dispute. I've had people book a photo shoot in Christmas, and then Halloween of the next year comes up and they dispute a payment from Christmas. And I don't know who it was. And they just dispute the payment. And now their bank and me are fighting, and I don't know who it was. The bank and me is fighting, and I have to prove to them that we did the photo shoot. I have to prove to them that they authorized the payment, which is the reason of me having, you know, the contract for them to be able to select, yes, I agree to all these terms and services, which is why I have policy agreements on my website, all these things, because I got did crazy 3 times until I started implementing this one thing. They did me like that until I started implementing my text form, where the form allows them to check yes or no on the Patreon. It's on the Patreon. I know you're asking. It's on the Patreon. And I started also implementing, allowing them to add photos of their ID cards. A lot of people are like, they're gonna feel uncomfortable adding the picture of their ID. Yeah, that's fine, because I'm gonna feel uncomfortable getting scammed. So would I rather them feel a little bit uncomfortable adding a photo of their ID, or would I rather me feel uncomfortable getting scammed months later, potentially by this client who overspent and are trying to get a little bit of cheese back? Majority of the time, that's really what it is. Like, they'll spend more money than they expected themselves to spend, and they're trying to get money back. So now they try to dispute a payment or try to get over on you, and that is how you get got. And that's how I got. It took me 3 times to get got before I started to figure out the system, right? And the way that I figured out this system was one of our homegirls, man, Cosmo by May. Shout out to you, girl. I was talking to her, and she told me the system, and she told me this is how you don't get screwed over by your clientele. Right? She told me that, and I said, man, I really appreciate you. She looked out for me. She gave me how she runs that back end to be able to help. And that just kind of flows into the next point of your network is your net worth, you guys. Network with people, man. Network. You need to know people. You don't know who you don't know, and somebody else might know who you need to know. You don't know who you don't know, and somebody else might know who you need to know. That's all I'm saying. But don't be like an opportunist. Don't be like a leech. Don't be always on it behind. You know what I'm saying? Don't be like, oh, free mentorship, ha. But just network people, be genuine, and you'll be able to actually grow through that. But as far as invoices go, invoice everything. You need proper documentation, because especially emails, because emails save forever. So you can go back to that email and utilize that and say, hey, this is our confirmation email. So after those 3 times, I then got approached by a bank again, American Express, and I had to talk to them about one of their clients who tried to dispute a payment for me for a maternity session. And I went back and I showed them the picture of their ID. I showed them the pictures of the screenshots of my policy agreement. I showed them our text messages, and all of this was able to get me off clean, because it all showed that they did authorize that payment. It showed that they did authorize it, that they were aware that it happened, because they tried to dispute it as if they didn't authorize, they didn't receive the services. That's what they put. They put didn't receive the services. And I'm like, what? You received these services. Here's the photo. I was able to show them so many different documentation. That's also why I always film behind the scenes. People don't think about that. But that is also why I'm always filming behind the scenes videos, behind the scenes photos, going live, because I'll never get done crazy ever again. So behind the scenes will save you too, to be able to prove to you that that photo shoot did indeed happen and they did receive a service. Moving on to point 4. Marry your current gear, all right? Whatever it is you have, marry that, make some cheese with that before you buy the next thing, right? And then when you buy that next thing, make 3 times the amount of the next thing that you're trying to buy before you buy that next thing, because you need to make it make sense, all right? If it don't make no sense, you ain't making no money and you ain't paying no bills, and that's what we're trying to do, is pay some bills. So marry your gear, right? Get to know your camera, get to know what you're using, know it like the back of your hand, bro. If you don't know your camera like the back of your hand before you upgrade, you have no business upgrading, because you're gonna get to the next camera and have to learn that one too. Now you're just, it's like you're basically ego lifting. It's gonna make you feel better to get a more expensive camera or a higher quality camera or more megapixels or dual native ISO. It's gonna make you feel better to have those things, but in reality, is it really gonna up the quality of your photography if you don't know how to use them? No, it's not, because you don't know how to use them. So it's not gonna do anything for you because you don't know how to use them. So marry your gear, take the time to actually learn the settings, create custom buttons, all of these things. Your camera needs to be your right hand. When you're doing it, you need to know what these different scroll dial wheels do. You need to be able to make some custom buttons on the back of these. You need to have stuff so that when you're out there shooting, it saves you time with your clients as well. And it also allows you to feel more confident when it comes to a photo shoot, rather than you just like, I think this is that, Marry your gear. Take your time and be in the dark. Marry your gear in the dark. Study poses, study lighting, study all that stuff in the dark before you come to the light to your photo shoot, all right? Moving on to point 5, lighting before gear. I know I just said that thing about, you know what I'm saying, mirroring your gear, blah, 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 blah. Then we go to this, lighting before gear. Because literally our jobs as photographers is to capture light. The only thing that's gonna make a client book someone else over you is how they capture light in comparison to how you capture light. That's it. Oh my God, the lighting there was hitting. That's what you hear your client say, right? Oh, bro, that lighting hard, but it's like tough, cuz. That's what you hear your client saying, right? They're so enthused over the lighting. They don't know what camera you're using, bruh. They don't know what camera you're using. They're enthused over the lighting, not even the camera, just the lighting, bro. So I would say upgrade your lighting first before you upgrade anything else. Before you buy that new lens, get you an 8200, get you a flash, get you a strobe, get you a continuous light, whatever your budget allows before you upgrade to that next feature on your camera. More lighting and better lighting is gonna make your photography better. You can use, bro, you could use a Rebel with some amazing lighting and get damn near the same amount of quality as you would get on an expensive camera with trash lighting. I'm just saying, bro, I've seen it done, bro. I've seen it done all over TikTok. They're all on TikTok with these Rebels going crazy, and it's possible. So marry your gear, learn all of your gear, and then make sure that you upgrade your lighting before you upgrade anything else. After you upgrade your lighting, because your lighting also, one thing you gotta keep in mind too, is your lighting will grow with you. So as you continue to grow and upgrade your gear, your lenses, your camera, whatever, you'll be able to use that same exact lighting as you continue to grow as well throughout your photography, videography, content creation journey, whatever you try to do, whatever endeavors you have in life, that light can be used in every scenario. You can use it with anything. With any type of camera that you end up getting, you can use it with. So it makes way more sense to upgrade your lighting than your camera first, right? Or your lens. I get that asked in Discord all the time. Should I upgrade my lens first or should I buy the 8200? Buy the 8200, bro. Buy it. Buy it, bro. It's worth it. The moment that you take a picture with it, you'll be like, damn, why I waited so long? Exactly. Why did you wait so long? This is an amazing flash. Why did you wait so long? This attachment, I'm gonna link it down below and it's gonna be in the Discord too. If you're not in the Discord already, join the Discord. The Discord is free. I keep saying it because we actually help each other in there. Real Raw Unfiltered is a community. We actually help each other in there. I also just dropped the shirts. There's only 20 left in stock. So yeah, they won't restock. So they say Real Raw Unfiltered on there, which basically means to be your most unapologetic self. Forget the algorithm, forget everybody else, forget whatever everybody else is telling you what to do. Be your unapologetic self. And then the logo is on the back of the neck. And then we have Be the Blueprint right here on the side. It says Be the Blueprint. So it's nice little vibe. You know what I'm saying? This hat is not for sale yet. This is a Bass Pro hat. I put some glue on there, and I just I glued the logo for PNG Culture on there. Yeah, I did. And what? So let me know down below if you guys have any questions, man. I got y'all. You know what I'm saying? Make sure to join the Discord. Make sure to join the Patreon. All right, you guys want to know how I edit, how I lock everything down, finance. We talk about bread, we talk about money, we talk about all that stuff. That's the Patreon. If you guys want to learn in general about your photography journey for the free ski, go to the Discord community. All right. Until next time, Taxi!
Oh, there's the cookies. Be right back.
I don't need it. I don't need it. I definitely don't need it.